Some fantastic questions coming through. So another really great question. I have to say, folks, the questions that are coming through are brilliant, and they're pertinent to what we're doing right now. We're looking at a leopard, and these are leopard questions. You are keeping this conversation going. This is what is so fantastic about Safari Live, and you know, you are a massive part of this, so thank you very, very much for it. Nadav from Johannesburg. Now, Nadav, if it's the Nadav that I know and we all know and love, who's been out here with us, hi to you, and if it's not, hi to you as well, Nadav. Whoever the Nadav is, great to have you on board, but a really great welcome to you, and a great question as well. Nadav says that he was in Kruger recently, and he drove up to a leopard, and the leopard took off, ran away very, very quickly. And Nadav wants to know if we've got any tips for him, and everyone for that matter, when approaching predators. Well, I think the first thing I have to say, Nadav, is slowly. In Swahili up in Tanzania, when I used to live there, there's a great saying called pole pole, which means slowly. Just approach very, very gently and allow the animal to get used to you. That's really important. These animals are definitely not used to having things driving at them fast, and I'm not saying you did that, Nadav, but you might have just approached at a speed that animal wasn't used to, or that animal also might have been an animal from a surrounding area and wasn't that habituated. There's that word again that we used earlier, or conditioned to humans or vehicles. So he may have just been a little bit spooked or been a little bit unsure of himself. He might have been a youngster. He might not have his sort of wisdom on handling situations like that yet. So there's lots of external contributing factors there as well. But I have to say the key is slowly. I have a thing that I like to do sometimes, and a lot of people say, "Oh, turn your engine off, straight away." It can sometimes startle an animal when you drive up. You drive up nice and slowly, but the idling of the engine sometimes can just be a calming effect that they've gotten used to. If you drive up straight away and just turn the engine off really quickly, that can startle them. I like to just drive up and give them about 10 or 15 seconds sometimes of just, excuse me, of just getting used to that engine noise, and then just gently button the engine off. That's just my technique. Loads of other people have got different other techniques, and then I would say that invisible distance that is really, really important. Now, how do you learn that? You learn it by watching the animal's behaviour. You learn it by watching changes in the animal's behaviour. You go in slowly, and you see if that animal is still exhibiting behaviour that it was when you first arrived, then you're doing the right thing. And then slowly, you just watch for any changes. And as soon as you start to see the animal start to show a sign of it's sort of looking a little bit more uncomfortable, that's the time to stop. Or you'll learn that to stop before that. You won't even get to that point, and that's that invisible distance that the animal knows that you're in a safe zone. And it's exactly what we try and do. That's what we do all around the world when we watch animals. It's absolutely to be there observing animals and trying not to change their behaviour, being an invisible voyeur, I suppose you could say. And once you get that down pat, mate, it's you'll be home and hose. But really great question, and I'm sure it wasn't anything really to do with you, mate. I'm sure it's probably just a little bit of an unconfident leopard, that he will get used to things like that and know that humans and cars aren't there to hurt him. But keep it up, mate, and keep getting out there into that beautiful place, Kruger, and checking those animals out. Okay, folks, I think what we're going to do is we're watching Q changing position in this tree. Anything could happen, but goodness, we could sit here for another hour. And I want to just cross over to Pete and see what he's up to. But you know that we'll come back as soon as something happens. We'll come right back to you. So I will say it again. I will see you just now. Awesome, guys, welcome back this side.
Just had a little bit of interesting news there on the radio as well. But we're just down at Gowrie Waterhole. We started sort of earlier on the drive. We had the buffalo down there. They're still relaxing next to the water. We've got one of the most striking and spectacular birds that you find out in Africa. This is called a saddle-billed stork. It's one of the largest storks, so it's a very large bird. And I don't think I need to point out too much where the name comes from, but they've got that beautiful coloration on the beak, the bright red beak with a black sort of band across it, or the saddle, hence the name saddle-billed stork. Awesome, that leopard with HT. HT's had a great day with leopard, and seeing a leopard up in a marula tree, any tree is always good, but in a marula, because the marula's bark sort of mimics the leopard spots a little bit, or the leopard's rosettes, I've always liked seeing them up there. Lots of bird life. There's a blacksmith plover running in the foreground, closer to us here. Where's it gone now? Sorry, oh, there it is. It's gone off to the left a bit. The hardy-dar. So there's the plover. Sorry, I was just mentioning that. And then let's look at a slightly bigger bird. This side of the water. That's sort of what they sound like. I don't think I'll be making that sound for a talent competition, but that's where the name actually comes from, a hardy-dar ibis, or an ibis, depending on the accent you prefer. A more known ibis perhaps is the sacred ibis, once you get all the way up into Egypt. Hardy-dars are very, very common in southern Africa. In fact, in some of your big cities that have got big gardens and parks, Johannesburg for instance, Pretoria, you see a lot of hardy-dars as well. Get them on your lawns, they're great, they take out worms and parasites and beetles and things out of the ground, and they have this very peculiar sound. And there's an old joke amongst not only guides these days, but even amongst some of the different tribes in Africa that say that hardy-dars, this bird we're looking at now, and I'll try and show it to you if we're lucky to see it at some stage, they say that they're afraid of flying, because they make that call that I made just now when they're flying. So while they're flying, they're going, ah, 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 because they're terrified of flying. That's why when they're on the ground, they don't make a lot of noise. So that's a hardy-dar ibis. It's a little bit grass in the foreground here. There's some starlings just up from the ibis into the water there, on the edge of the water, busy hunting, more likely frogs or small fish. That is one of the most widespread birds in the world. Grey heron you find all over the world. Many of you would have seen them perhaps in your garden, or if you go walking on the edge of a park or a lake, or get them on the ocean as well. I mean, we see them where I live, in the shallows of the lagoons. A grey heron is something that you do see in various parts of the world. Beautiful bird nonetheless. It's got that black sort of cap almost. And as always, I've said it many times, I'm sure I'll say it many times again, this time of day is just so special. The sun is getting low, the colors are getting beautiful, you're getting nice contrast in the shadows. But not just that, you get an emotional sensation as well. You get this feeling of the day taking a breath, getting ready for the night now. It's cooling down a little bit, bird life picks up, wildlife normally picks up a bit. I'm still hoping to find a leopard around here somewhere. That's why we're back at the waterhole. We just decided to have a look at some of the bird life as well. But there is something very, very special about this sunset time, golden hour, crepuscular time. Alright, and having said that, there's something around the corner I want to investigate, and there's something at HT that you want to see, so enjoy it with Hayden. I will see you back here shortly.
Folks, we've just come back. I just heard something behind me here. I'm not sure if it was an antelope or not. Can't see. Definitely something walking in there. He just turned his eyes around here as well. I'm just going to tell you what Q's doing, and Andrew's just going to keep looking here. I'm not really sure at the moment, but all I can tell you is there's definitely something in there. Did you hear that, Andrew?
Yeah, I heard something.
I mean, that would be absolutely perfect for us because it would mean that he could potentially come across this way. But hey, whatever he does, and that's the beautiful thing. But he's still up that tree, and I just wanted to tell you, just to give you, it's a little bit like what do you do in a situation? How do you hedge your bets? How do you bet on a situation? Do we leave him and go and have a look around for some other things? Or do we maximise our chances of seeing something, particularly with a leopard, which is a rare occurrence to see a leopard hunt successfully, even though we've had an amazing amount of incredible, I wouldn't call it luck, I'd say the guys' skills. You know, Scotty and Stefan and Brent and Mark over the past months have just been incredible with what they've seen and where they've positioned themselves. So it's one of those things. Sometimes I sit at these locations and I'm sitting quietly and we're waiting. You do have to have patience. But just to talk about that a little bit, I'm not sure if many of you have been on a safari, and if you have, absolutely brilliant. If you haven't, that's why you're with us today on Wild Safari Live. There's something about sitting and being in the bush. And when you do just sit for a long period of time, things happen around you. And you are actually become part of the bush, and you can just start to observe what's going on rather than coming in, driving constantly. It's actually quite nice. It's quite a different style sometimes just to sit and be. And I know sometimes when we're looking at a flat cat, it can get a little bit tedious, but we'll try and chop and change, and that's what the brilliance of having two vehicles is. I just want to give you a little bit of an update on that. In my heart, I just want to just sit for a little bit, because he's not lying down flat on this log. You know, he's definitely looking around, scanning the bush here at the moment. So, if that's okay with you guys, I'd like to just give it a few more minutes and see how we go. Definitely looking over this way at the moment. Well, Kathy in Tennessee, welcome to you, welcome aboard, great to have you with us, and thank you for your question. Kathy wants to know, do hyenas sort of follow leopards? Do they use their scent to find out how the leopard's hunting, and how do they actually keep sort of stealing leopards' food? Kathy, one of the interesting things is when a leopard's on the hunt, you normally will see a hyena or two in the vicinity. I'm surprised we haven't yet, but as night falls and the hyenas become a little bit more active, and it was quite a hot day today, they'll be out patrolling. They've got a fantastic sense of smell, but they haven't got anything to be smelling at the moment, because he hasn't got to kill up that tree. It's the bush newspaper as well a little bit too, Kathy. There's so many signs that animals use to learn about other things that's going on. They might hear a leopard walking through, or very rarely, but they might see a leopard walking through. They might accidentally bump into each other on patrol. There's so many different ways it can happen, but it will definitely be when you do start to see leopard being trailed by hyena, when they've got to kill up a tree, is more often than not. It's really funny, Kathy, and everyone else listening and with us today on the drive. I've always been completely perplexed, completely amazed. This is one of the most fearsome cats on the planet, and they could take out a hyena easily. How they just get run up a tree by a hyena. It really amazes me. I mean, I know a hyena is a formidable hunter as well, but hyena doesn't have the ability to use its claws, that's for sure. It doesn't have that ability, it doesn't have that athleticism of a leopard. So a leopard's definitely got a huge advantage, but sure enough, and you know what, as comical as it can sound, I've you know, a fox terrier, you know, a domestic dog, a fox terrier, those little tiny dogs, they can put a leopard up a tree. So there's a really sort of a funny side to leopards where they're the king of stealth, and, you know, as I always say, the sort of the James Bond of cats. They're just so smooth and so they've got so much attitude. But sure enough, they will just go up a tree when a little dog gets into their sight. But then again, I have to say, sadly, they will also take little dogs. So it's a funny old thing with leopards and hyena. It's a bit of a love-hate relationship. Well, not even a love, I think. It's just a relationship that the leopard doesn't always come off best, that's for sure. And the hyenas will wait underneath the tree for bits that fall out, and if the leopard hasn't stored its food or cached its food up a tree properly, you know, the hyenas are definitely going to be the ones that win there. But great question, thank you very much. Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, I'm going to just cross over to Pete, and I know Pete's been dying to get his eyes on a big cat. So I think Pete's got a little surprise for you. I'll see you just now.
Hello everyone, and welcome back here. For those of you that are maybe new with us on these drives, Brian does these different thumbs every afternoon to say hello and when we go out. And we actually called this thumb what do we call it? The sun lion.
The sun lion.
I saw it, and Brian's a very good artist as well, by the way. And I'm building up to something, so don't go anywhere if you're sitting and watching at the moment. In fact, you might want to stand up soon. But we joked about the sun lion this afternoon. And we've had a brilliant afternoon. We've had great elephants earlier, if you missed the beginning of the drive. We've had beautiful wildlife around the water, some lovely birds. Of course, the leopard has been awesome. HT has had a stunning leopard up a tree. And it would be great. Imagine we could see like a lion as well, just because there's a sun lion on Brian's thumb, the sun is busy setting. So we thought we'll just come and stop you in the road and see what we can find, because you never know what's around the next bend. And this is it. And he's doing what lions do best, lying around. And we have to say a big thank you to Brent. He found this a little bit earlier and let us know about it. So brilliant to find a lion. Big male. These guys have been around the last day or two around Boyatella here. This is the same guy, I presume, that HT saw this morning on the drive. And I must say, he's looking a little bit lazy, as lions can, but he's also looking a little bit thin. I think he's going to definitely make an effort to hunt tonight. And the fact that he has stuck around the same area now is interesting. So I'm just thinking now. So we just literally arrived yesterday afternoon. So, you know, when Kathy was asking earlier about tracking, it takes you a day or two or three or four. I mean, effectively it takes you a lifetime really to build up a picture of your environment around you. And with the lions, after a few days, you get an idea of what they're up to, and there's certain sort of waves, if you want, in their behavior, meaning that if they've hunted something big, they don't necessarily hunt for a few days after that. And I'm just thinking the lions last night were going for buffalo. I don't know that the rest of that pride has been seen today, not to my knowledge. So I'm curious where the rest of the pride might be. I don't think they've killed anything big, because this guy would have been joining them and eating with them. So yeah, I'm very curious, and more than curious really, I'm excited about building up the picture of the lion behavior in this area again over the next few days. But certainly there are worse things to be doing in the afternoon than sitting next to a big male lion taking it easy. And we're going to do so for a bit. If you have any questions, guys, remember this is a interactive game drive, like any game drive. So if you're sitting here on the vehicle and you're enjoying the peace and quiet, please go ahead and enjoy it. But if you maybe have a question, maybe about Africa in general, or more specific about a big male lion sleeping in the road, or maybe about the face of a lion. I'm going to talk about one or two things about the face just now. Any questions like that, send them through to us. questions@wildearth.tv, that's for email, or tweet #SafariLive.
To Djuma onto our property, and it's incredibly exciting stuff because his alertness just jumped out of his skin, and I just had this feeling that he was looking this way. Now at the moment he is looking over into Djuma. He's quite alert, he's very, very still, and he's just he's looking away a little bit now. Oh, sorry guys, I was just so excited when I saw him do that, and I thought he might have come down the tree or sat there and waited. It's always the way, isn't it? Just brought you back, but he's looking around. But he did stand up with great alertness there, and I would have hated you to miss him coming down the tree or running off. So I just barged on in there. I do apologise to Pete profusely there. He's still very alert, looking over there. And isn't that a beautiful sight, just seeing that leopard standing there in that tree? I was watching Safari Live in the United Kingdom with my boy a couple of times, and I saw Scotty with shots like that, and I was just like, how magnificent is that? A cat up a tree, but a big cat. Wow. He's definitely looking at something. Let's stick with this, Andrew, I think, mate.
Yeah.
He's got that look in his eyes. I don't know what it is. It's just that you can start to see the body language and the behaviour. The head drops down. Very, very fixed gaze on whatever he can see now. That, where he's looking, is way out of my view on the other side of that termite mound. So he's sitting down. He's sitting back down, looking over our way now. Looking directly sort of towards us. I'm looking behind us, folks. I just want to give you as much visual information as I possibly can. So the direction Q is looking now is due west, and he is looking over back onto Djuma Reserve where we are, and that's the direction we came from as well. Now he's looking sort of southwest. He ate about 2 days ago, from what the guys told me the other night, and that's about average, couple of days, depending on what he ate, how much he lost to hyena or whatever. But I just got this feeling in my bones, I don't know what it is, that you never know what's around that next corner. If he lies back down, which I think he might do, I want to go back to see what Pete's got with his lines. But isn't that great? I mean, we've got a leopard here, and Pete's got lines. This is what it's all about, folks. This is what Wild Safari Live is about. It's about being in the thick of it, right amongst it, and you're right here with us.
I mean, would an impala even be looking in the trees for him, or?
No, an impala wouldn't be looking in the trees for him. He'd be up there with a great advantage. If he moved like that, and the branch shook like that, he might attract some attention. But if he stayed really still, he's facing the other direction now. Probably should go and see what Pete's back up to. I feel a bit rude. I barged in then. I just thought, guys, I really did think he was going to come down out of the tree. He got up so quickly, and a bit of a false alarm there, but it's always worth trying. I just had this feeling in my gut, guys. I just do have a feeling that if anything comes along, he's going to be taking advantage of the situation that he's in right now. He's purposefully put himself in that tree. So that's the road that he came across. He's sort of moving in the tree now. He looks like he might be coming down. I'm just going to go forward a little bit for you, mate, so you can see this nicely. You watch this leap, folks. This is what is he going to leap. Beautiful. Just going to see, I can just see him still a little bit there. He's right behind the tree. Still got him right behind that tree there. I'll just move forward a bit for you, Andrew. Can you see his face? You just go in there, just to the left of that tree. I mean, he'll probably make the decision for us, folks, because if he walks south here, which he may do, then we'll have to let him be, and that's absolutely fine. We've had a beautiful encounter with him this afternoon. Absolutely fantastic to be in his presence for as much time as we've spent today. And I think that's one of the things. It doesn't always have to be, hunting or hauling something up the tree, which is always incredible to see, I know. But just to be in the presence as well is a fantastic thing. I'm just rolling forward for you, Andrew, because he's gone behind that stump. In the presence of leopard. And up close and personal with him. We got up close and personal right by that dam. We had an amazing time just watching him. Then he got up, then he walked past the front of the vehicle so close that he was in reaching distance. And then watching him on this termite mount and this beautiful light as well. Beautiful encounter, and I'm so glad that you all experienced that with me. It's quite a touching moment for me to see him again. My first leopard I ever saw in Djuma, and first day back, same thing again. Wow, he's got a place in my heart, that boy, Andrew. Andrew and I, first leopard together, and I tell you what, mate, thanks, buddy. Great spotting this afternoon. My eyes in the sky. Right, guys, I think we're going to go back and see what Pete's up to. I'm going to drive on and see what else we can find. We've still got a bit of time up our sleeve, so you never know what's around the next corner. But thanks so much for being patient, and you never know what can happen. We'll cross to Pete now. We'll see you just now.
He's still sitting here nice and relaxed with the lion. Awesome, the leopard activity there. It looks like he was curious about something at some stage. This guy not doing too much brown now. We're just talking about how amazing it is to sit firstly this close to a lion, but also just the dimensions of it. Over the years, I've been part of in some reserves when lions are captured, sometimes to either get genetic blood samples or to maybe relocate to other reserves. And like so many things, you don't really appreciate the size of things until you get close to them. You know, you look at an aeroplane far away and it's an aeroplane, but once you walk up to it, you realize the dimensions of it. Now, a lion, a big male like this, he's not exceptionally big. I mean, he's a big male for this area, but he would probably be in the region of 200 kilograms. That's 400, let's say between 400 and 460 pounds. So if I had to estimate his weight, I would say he's probably, when he's full, he would be about 440 pounds, and at the moment probably a bit less. He's not eaten a lot by the looks of it. Now, that's a lot. If you think of the weight, that's it's about, what is that, about 2.5 of me. But when you get close to them, and you look at the face, and you look at the feet, the paws, the ears, the scale of these things. I was telling Brian now that I used to put my hand on paws when I've had the opportunity. Now, a big male like his paw alone, and that's not counting the nails. If you look very carefully, in fact, Brian, I think we might just see it, huh?
Yeah, you
Can
can
see the nails there?
there.
The paw, now if you open up your hand now, I've got a sort of an average size hand. I don't have very big hands. The average size male hand would be the size of that lion's paw, and that's not with the nails out. That's the paw when it's relaxed. In other words, when that paw is totally calm and relaxed, it is that size. Now, what I always tell people, put that into perspective and put that on the side of your face. So that's the size of that lion's paw, that size, when it's relaxed. When the nails come out, now lion's nails are about that long. In inches for you guys in North America, that's about, what is that, about 6 centimeters, is about 2.5 inches, something like, give or take. Now, a lion's paw is essentially a hand with fingers. So when the fingers, I mean, this is a very simplified explanation, but when the fingers curl up like this when they're walking, you've got the nails sitting up here. When they stretch the fingers out, the nails extend as well. So when a lion is running and is grabbing for a, let's say he's hunting a buffalo, and he's grabbing for it, he's extending it, and those nails are coming out, and he's holding on. So then you've got an area like the size of like a baseball mitt. You know, those gloves that you guys use when you play baseball? Like that size, actually a bit bigger even, that it stretches out. Now, combine that with sharp nails and with unimaginable strength behind it. It is unbelievable what these guys can get up to. So you can sit next to a lion like this, totally relaxed, not doing much, sleeping, and easily forget that this is, you know, this is the apex predator on land, certainly in Africa, when we might have to reconsider when you start looking at some of the big bears. But the size and the dimensions and the power and the sort of athletic combination of how they built, it's absolutely amazing with lions. I mean, that's why a lion like this, on his own even sometimes, but 2 or 3 of them together can take on an 800-900 kilogram buffalo, you know, a buffalo that weighs in the vicinity of 1,000, 6,800 pounds, and hunt them. It is it's something that I think one forgets about sometimes, because so many times you see them just like this, you know, just a big cat looking all cute and fuzzy, but so much strength there. And look at the dexterity as well, sorry. This is and I'm just catching up because I just saw his paw there now. Could you see that injury? Guys, and I do apologize. Please, those of you that know the lions well, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm still catching up to it, and I always trust you guys will help me if I get it wrong. But this is one of the Matimbas, and the last time I saw this lion was actually, if I remember correctly, on a drive with yours, one of the landowners here in Torchwood. And he told me that injury on the foot has now been coming along for a long time. I'll have to ask again, but well over a year. I think closer to 2 years. And the discussion between him and some of the other guides and rangers that are here very frequently was that that's from possibly a snake bite. It's just never healed properly. Unfortunately, we can't see it now. And as I said, please, if I have the wrong lion in mind, correct me. But I'm fairly certain, because I remember photographing him on First Rock, which is a beautiful granite outcrop but east from here. But that inside of the front right leg, it's basically a raw patch. Now, coming back to the strength and the hardness or the toughness of these animals, the guess is that it would have been a bite by something like a puff adder, maybe a spitting cobra, perhaps. There's 1 or 2 other cytotoxic venoms that could have caused it, but most likely a puff adder. Puff adder is very similar to vipers, to rattlesnakes. It's that type of snake. If you've never seen a puff adder, very well camouflaged, quite a short, thick snake, not very fast moving in the sense of covering distance. In other words, they don't move fast like black mamba does, but extremely fast striking, and you know, like a sort of coiled muscle, if you want. Now, puff adders have got a cytotoxic venom, and that's just a fancy word for a venom that breaks down the cells. So you get neurotoxins like a mamba, which attacks your nervous system, but a cytotoxic venom breaks down the cells. So effectively, you get severe tissue damage, gangrene, effectively in the end, and it's the snake that's killed the most people in Africa over the last 50 or 100 years that people have been recording statistics like this. And it's not because it kills you instantly. Most humans can live for days even afterwards, but the venom is just so severe that it eventually just causes severe tissue damage or wherever it is, arm or a leg. And I've got a number of friends that have been bitten by puff adders that have lost fingers and things to it. Point being, if this bites a human, you would either have to go to hospital, get treated very fast, and survive, maybe lose a finger or something in the process. If you don't get it treated, after a few days you won't survive. Yet here we've got a lion that has lived with this, and I must ask you also someone again, guys, again, I know many of you in the vehicle have been on game drives many times over the last many years. If you have the information, please send it into questions@WildEarthTV, and if someone has an idea of when this was first sighted, remind me. But fascinating that a lion can live with a bite like that for months and years. I mean, I know of other cases of lions, I know of leopard as well, that survive bites like that. Something that would have easily killed a human. So it's not only in the physical power of being able to jump on a buffalo or the physical strength to hunt, but also their, what's a good word, their robustness, their endurance, their ability to cope with adverse physical conditions as well. Very tough animals. I mean, I can think of so many stories over the years of lions that I've seen that have been through battles where they've battled other lions, and you've seen them coming out the other end with massive cuts and holes in them. And I could tell you heartbreaking stories and horrific stories about lions and the injuries they sustain. And then I can tell you heartwarming and happy stories about how those very same lions recovered from it. And not necessarily months later. Sometimes weeks later. 1 or 2 great meals later. It is unbelievable how robust and how durable these animals are. And largely, and this is not a joke, it is due to the fact that they sleep a lot. They can recover from, if you look at any wild lion, this guy or any lioness that's lived wild for 5 or 10 or 12 years, 15 years, sometimes they get that old, they've got so many broken bones that have healed. And I'm not just talking about the tailbone or the finger bone, I'm talking about big bones, ribs, and, we found lion skulls where there's breaks in the spinal column. These guys are incredibly good at surviving injuries, and part of that is that they take in high volume of protein, of food, and then they will spend 1 day, 2 days, 3, 4 days just resting. If they're injured, even more so. And literally just this, lying, almost not moving at all, maybe turning around now and again, and literally just recuperating. And it is unbelievable what these things can survive through. Yeah, African lion. There you can see that injury now again from a natural injury, so to speak, or from a fight. Typically it's left because nature must run its course. And as I said, it's a little bit dependent on circumstances, a little bit dependent on policy of the reserve, and also on the species involved in the end. So, but as a general rule, in an open system like this, keep in mind, we are in Djuma Game Reserve, which is part of the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, which again in turn is part of the Greater Kruger National Park. We're talking about millions of acres of land, massive area. And in that, you let the ecosystem run its course. To help an animal like this with his foot, or to help something with a broken horn or something like that, it would often be for emotional reasons to make ourselves feel better, and not necessarily for the greater good of the game reserve or for the survival of that specific species. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. As a general sort of rule of thumb, Jackie, we don't involve ourselves too much with helping the animals, other than providing a beautiful, safe place where they can live and protecting that space fiercely if need be, and encouraging that space by things like ecotourism and photographic safaris and what we're doing right at this moment. But we don't involve ourselves too easily or too readily with individual animals in individual cases. But there are certain merits to it. I think that should give you good enough answer to the question. As I said, it's actually a large, very wide and controversial even topic. But this guy survives fine. He's looking a bit skinny at the moment, but that's not because of the injury. That's because he hasn't had a good meal in a while, which might change. I don't think in the next minute or two, although you never know. But I think it might change in the next hour or two. This is the time when everything starts moving. You call this crepuscular time. You get diurnal animals, things that live in the day. You get nocturnal animals that live in the night. Us humans tend to do both. And then you get animals that are very active. In fact, a large amount of animals that are active around crepuscular time, which is the time we're in now. That time building up to sunset, around sunset and just after, and again in the morning building up to sunrise and just after. And a lot of things happen. Your diurnal animals start settling down, your nocturnal animals start waking up, your hunters start hunting, your prey have to be more alert. And I must say I'm almost tempted to go look around quarantine a little bit to see if there's a leopard around, and then coming back to this guy. But at the same time, it might change at any second. He might get up and move at any second. It doesn't look like it, but trust me, in the blink of an eye they can be up and moving. So I think we'll stay put for now, see what he gets up to, answer a few more questions, and see what we've got left for the last part of the drive. We've got about a half an hour left. Tom is just asking, hello Tom, Tom's from the UK, asking if lions ever climb trees, more specifically here in Djuma or in Sabi Sands area. Tom, not really. I mean, I've seen a few lions climb trees, again circumstantial based, young lions playing, and even then, I mean, to say they're climbing trees would be sort of pushing it a bit. Those would often be trees that are sort of at an angle, maybe that's been pushed over by elephants, and it just provides them a platform to play on. In fact, in November when H and myself were visiting and had the drives, we had a couple of nice views like that. But they don't climb trees like they do in parts of Uganda, for instance. That's famous for it. I know Liwa Plains in Zambia is also known for it. There are parts of Africa where lions climb trees specifically, and most of those places, the motivation for it is different from leopard. Leopard climb trees typically because they want to avoid other predators. They want to take their food up so hyenas and lions don't steal it from them, and they want to take a nice nap without worrying about a lion suddenly surprising them. The lions that climb trees, as a rule, in those areas I mentioned, do so normally to get away from flies or from parasites. If there's heavy tick loads in the grass or lots of flies around up in the trees, it's a little bit of airflow, and the parasites, the flies and potentially the ticks in the grass don't bother them so much. So different motivation. In Djuma I have seen it, speaking about leopard taking food up into trees, I have seen lions on various occasions climb even fairly difficult trees to get food away from leopard. The best one I ever saw was just up north here, just into Buffelshoek, and I'm trying to remember who it was. This was some time ago. It was a big male, I think Yombili Jordan. He's a male that's not around anymore, potentially the father of Q and Kunyuma. He had a kill up in a tree in the one lion nest, and it was a good sized tree. It was probably a good 4 meters up, so we're talking 12 feet, 13, 14 feet. Straight trunk, and the lion went right up it, got up there, got the food, but what was really funny was the lion struggled to get down, because you must remember, a big lion, 150, 200 kilograms, 400, 450 pounds, they are not quite as agile and as nimble as a leopard would be up in the tree. So lots of things to consider, but Tom, in short, at Djuma, not really. If you see a lion up a tree, it'll be because it's playing a bit, or maybe because it's trying to steal food from a leopard. Awesome, thanks so much. Phil and John from Canada and Connecticut respectively. Guys, firstly, great to have people, and I know there's many of you at the moment on the vehicle that's been joining us for so long. Awesome to have old friends on the drive, and also to have people that have got information, that have been on drive and can remember things and checked up. And John and Phil and others as well, just letting us know that it is the Matimba male, thank you very much. and it is a snake bite, June, July 2013. So give or take a month, 2 years ago. So unbelievable that it's been carrying that injury for 2 years. It is getting better slowly, but as I said, that injury would have done serious damage to a human days and within weeks later, whereas this lion is still surviving perfectly well since then. So thanks, guys. It is such a awesome thing to be able to sit here and not worry about remembering everything, because I know I can ask many of you to help me with recollecting history, correcting thoughts from the past, and also just little bits of information. You're sitting it with information at the tips of your fingers. So thank you very much for being part of the drive and being part of the team. Let's have a few more questions, because this lion is not doing too much, as we can all see. Another question from Texas. Matthew, how's it going? Matthew, and I believe many of you on Twitter especially talking about this, and the question is basically, would this lion still be able to hunt and defend himself with that injury? And in short, yes, just because, as we just heard, this is now 2 years later, and this lion is still fine. I mean, he's looking a little bit skinny at the moment, but he could have looked like this even if he didn't have an injury. Lions do, go sort of thick and thin a little bit depending on how much food they get. But so basically, no, it's not going to affect him. It can, if the wound was worse, or maybe it got into the tendons or something like that, it would have. But by this stage now, he's actually busy recovering from that wound, even though it's taking a long time, and he's still doing everything. I mean, last time where we are, I saw him mating with a female, which means he could compete against other males, even to a small extent with his own coalition males. They're still very effectively holding a territory in the north here, so they're still dominant when it comes to defending the area against other potential rivals, and they are still very good at hunting. Just while we're talking about that, I know that a common misconception with lions also is that male lions don't hunt. And again, to go into that subject would actually be a long, conversation, to the point of where it'll get boring for many of you. But there's so much to consider within the pride dynamics of lions. Lion males cover much more physical distance than lionesses, because they have to patrol the area, they have to scent mark, they have to vocalize, they have to roar, they have to let all their neighbors know that they're around and that they're protecting the area, so that the females in the area and their offspring, so their collective generations to come, can grow up. So males are much more active in terms of covering ground. Again, it doesn't look like it at present, but you know what I mean. But male lions are also good at hunting and do also hunt. I've seen many male lion hunts in the Sabi Sands, where they hunt a lot of buffalo. They have good success when the males are in on the hunt, just because they're physically bigger and heavier. So to come back to the injury, in case some of you are thinking at least the male doesn't have to hunt, male lions do hunt quite a lot as well, but the injury will not really impair him much in any way. Alright, awesome. Well, there's only so much you can say about a sleeping lion, and you could also say let sleeping lions lie sometimes. But we're going to see what we're going to do next. I might just go around the corner and go look at the waterhole and come back here. But HT is on his way somewhere exciting always, and let's see what he finds. And let's see what happens on the last part of the drive. This is the magic time in the bush, so don't go anywhere.
Afternoon, folks. I can't tell you what a beautiful drive and experience I've had and shared with you, and you've shared with me. We've all had it together on Wild Safari Live. Didn't do a load of driving around, but I just wanted to stay with that leopard Q, because he did get active and then he did go up in that tree, and it's always about maximising your time, as we mentioned before. We were on Pete when we were going crashing through the bush to follow him, and it was funny, this morning I got asked the question right at this very spot about snakes, and I can't remember what the lady's name was, but she asked whether we see many snakes and what species do we see. And the one that I mentioned this morning, a puff adder, which is quite a common snake. I saw a massive one whilst we were crashing through that bush, and he came out. He must have come out from one side of the vehicle to the other, because I was reversing and I couldn't get through an area, but he was a really, really good size. Moving quite slowly, they don't move very fast, so I was very careful, but I'm glad I didn't hurt him. And he was beautiful, really, really big. So they're out there, and what we're doing now is we're just going to head up to the hyena den. Now, I'll lower my voice a little bit as we get closer, just for the sheer respect for the animals. I'm sure they're probably used to it, but it's just something I always do. We'll go in nice and slowly. They might be there, they might not be there. We'll just go and have a little poke around and see if we can find them. It's a lot cooler than when we were here this morning, and I'd really like to see these youngsters. Yeah, I don't think it's under 20. It still feels a little bit humid. Got that afternoon sunshine glow. I'll get some lights on, just a little bit of lighting as well. Just a soft wash over here for us. Just come up nice and slow here. There's one right there. Just approach nice and slowly here. So I'm just going to let him get used to us here, this youngster. You can see us. You just see him lying on the road there. So what I want to do is just drive up and just take my time and make sure that he doesn't get disturbed and think that I'm going to come any further. I just want to get around this bend so you can get a nice view. It's okay, my babe. It's all right, little one. It's all right. Oh, it's not that young. It's not that old. Fantastic. Get a little bit better picture now, we're a bit closer. Just lying down in the heat of the day there. Still very, very warm. And may have a full belly. We'll just let them get... I mean, these animals, as I said before, are really habituated to vehicles, so we're not by any means encroaching on them and changing their behaviour. As you can see, he just looked up, and she, I think, just looked up and went back to sleep. They're very aware that we're here, of course, but very, very comfortable with us as well. Now you get a good glimpse at the paws there. Whilst you're looking at that, I'm just going to show you something about a few different tracks, and you can see those paws. But just keep on that, and I'll just get this image up to show you the hyena track. I'm just going to get Andrew to pan back here, and you see from those feet there's those four very, very distinct paws, four pads there, with the toenails being a very, very good indicator that it's it's definitely very distinct. That's what I'm trying to say. Brown hyena and spotted hyena, very, very similar. A bit more squashed, this brown hyena track. But something that I really wanted to also show you just quickly is painted dog, they're referred to in this app that I've got. We also refer to them as wild dog here. But this is a very, very interesting track, just while I've got it open to take note of. Cheetah and painted dog, very, very similar in their look, and you have to be very accustomed to looking at the two tracks, seeing them next to each other to distinguish which is which. you know, and it's like a language. It is a language when you listen to Stefan or Brent or, you know, a lot of people that do a lot of tracking, you will know that if you don't use it, you lose it type of thing. You know, you've got to keep refreshing yourself with those track signs. But the reason why I wanted to point this out is you can see those, the only cat, just have a quick look at this. I'm going to quickly flick to another track, line leopard comparison, which we looked at before. No toenails, no claws protruding. Everyone can see that pretty clearly. Now I know most people know this, but it's a good thing just to note that there's tracks that can get confused, and this particular two tracks are the ones that get very confusing, cheetah and wild dog. Now the cheetah has those claws protruding because they are the only cat, which most people know, I'm sure, but if you don't, they are the only cat that has this semi-retractable claw configuration, and those claws have adapted, or the animal has an adaptation where those claws are semi-retracted, and allows the animal to have fantastic traction at high speed when it's chasing its prey. Just turn my radio, my guide's radio down a little bit, folks, so please excuse me. So very, very different in a different animal, a dog, but very, very similar track, and can be quite confusing. So out of the cats, the only one that has those claws, semi-retractable claws out, can be easily confused with a painted dog. But just for a little bit of a look-see, I wanted to show you the hyena and what we were looking at before, that Andrew had in shot was those 4 pads, and you can see a distinctive area there. Okay, we'll just go back to the hyena now. I just wanted to show you that quickly. I have to get a little bit of light on him now. I'm going to reach across ever so gently and just put a little bit of a wash over him. I don't know if we need it. It's just getting... Oh, sorry, I might have rolled back a little bit there. Sorry, buddy. Folks, I'm just reaching across to put this very, very gentle light on him. Very soft, just on the edge of him there. It just gives us a little bit more definition. The cameras are incredible cameras in low light. They do their best, but if we can help them in a little bit of a way with a bit of wash like that, it does just improve the situation. So I'm just going to get a little spotlight as well, and I'm going to put that spotlight on very, very gently to the side of him. So I'm not going to put it in his eyes, I'm just going to put it in the front, so there's a little bit of a wash over him there. So you can see that's the back feet there that we were talking about before. If he looks up, if she looks up, I'll definitely drop this this light off. I don't want to shine it straight in the eyes, but I'm just wondering if you can zoom in there a little bit, Andrew, and have a look at those back feet, because it's really nice. You don't often get a chance to see the underside.
I'll fully zoom in.
And there's another nice shot there. I might need to take that light away a little bit. It's a bit hot for you. That's the track that we were looking at before. It's got an aircraft flying overhead, folks, you may hear. Just take that light off. So this is a spotted hyena, which I'm sure most people are aware of, but it's always good just to pop that in sometimes if you just joined us. It's a nice thing to know if you've just joined us. We've turned up at the hyena den, and one individual's here, but I don't know if the other youngsters are here. There's a really nice question from Max in Toronto. Hello Max, and welcome aboard. It's great to have you here on Safari Live. We've just finished finishing our drive today, and I'm really glad you're here. A great question, another great question. We have some absolute crackers through today, all related to things that might be in people's lives. Some of you might have domestic cats, and the question is, do big cats have to sharpen their claws like domestic cats have to do when you see them unfortunately sometimes on your furniture. The answer to that is yes, you often see them clawing, probably not as much as domestic cats, but you do see them grabbing onto tree logs and things like that. I've seen it a lot more with tigers personally. I see it a lot more with leopards than lion, and sometimes it'll be marking a tree as well, territorial marking, but they definitely do, and they need to keep those claws in really good check, and look after themselves, because they are their weapons of choice, and they do use them on a daily basis for either hunting or getting up a tree or whatever it may be. But this spotted hyena, it's flat, but you know what? It's a little bit warm still, and I'm sure that in the coming hours, it's potentially going to get going and move around. So what we're going to do, folks, I'm just going to sit with this hyena. It's becoming a little bit more alert. It may or may not, but you never know. We'll just sit for a second. I'm going to cross to Pete and so he can say goodbye, and then I'll come back to you and say farewell as well.
Always one of the best times, and certainly most magical times in the bush. Sunset. Many people associate these beautiful red sunsets with Africa. Of course, you get beautiful moments around the world every second of the day with sunset. But this is the one we're enjoying at the moment here in Djuma. It's been a great afternoon on so many levels. Great cats, leopard, lion, elephants. Activity. Hey, there's a hippo. Look at him coming to listen as well. And yeah, it's just that time of the drive also where I can say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to spend time with you and for joining us here in Africa. It's the first drive for me in this time around, so it's been a great experience as always. I look forward to the next 2 weeks of seeing more magical things and having more surprises. And yeah, from myself, Peter Pretorius, thank you very much. Thanks to everyone today on the crew. That's Brian on the vehicle, Nikki and Tara directing that side. HJ knows had a wonderful drive, and he's going to tell you some more about those hyenas as well towards the end of the last few minutes of the drive. So I just want to say thanks and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. There's lots more coming, so do join us in the morning, and that's it. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Quiet, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I don't really want to put the light on it or anywhere near at the moment. It's just so relaxed there. I've just got a little wash light that's just off to the left, so that's probably enough. The den area is in that termite mound behind the hyena, and we saw it this morning. If you were with us this morning, you can see the size of that hole. Some of the animals will get down into that den. The pups, not always. The adults can fit down there. Sometimes it's the narrowness it makes it difficult for our animals to get down. But when they do give birth down there, you'll get. Sometimes the pups do have incredible altercations down there, for want of a better word, fights, and you know, they can kill another pup down there easily. There's a high mortality rate that happens within the den itself in the early weeks of those pups' lives, and they're just an incredible species. There's so much to talk about them. He's up and looking around now. Something has startled him. And as I'm sure you probably know, very difficult to sex. Differentiate between the sexes. There's a long conversation that can be had there, but I'm probably not going to touch on it right now for another day. But it's a female-dominated society. It does make the males a little bit giddy They really do display sheer frustration in the fear of the females and the dominance of the females, sometimes to a comical level, but they are an incredibly complex creature, fearsome adversary for many different big cats in numbers. They're just an incredible species that have got so much unknown about them, and a very, very complex society that they live in. What a night. What a night. We're getting close to the end of the drive today, so I've just sort of looked around at the sky and looked at the moon that I haven't seen for quite some time, and some of the stars. Angelo in Boston has just asked us as well why hyenas seem to always lie in the middle of the road. I'm not really sure, Angelo. I see them all over the place, but the road might be a more comfortable place for them. They don't have a lot of hair either as well. You see them they look quite mangy, and it might be just a more comfortable position for them, or they might be finding it just a comfortable place for their afternoon sleep. But all in all, I think I have seen them on a lot of bare dirt, and it is a good observation. I'll actually have a little bit more of a look and talk to the guys what their philosophies are, and maybe come back to you tomorrow on that one, because I don't have a definitive answer, that's for sure. But you're right, you do see them on the middle of the road a lot, and I think it's probably just for comfort, if they can, on that sandy sort of dirt area. Well, what I'm going to do, folks, is say farewell, have a quick recap what we've seen today and how incredible it's been. We started off this morning, just before we went to air. I saw Karula chasing a Nala across the road. That was incredible. I would have followed up on Karula as well, but then as we drove down the hill to try and follow up on her, a Matimba male, one of the big males, was walking across and up the dam wall, and I just had to go and follow that and see it. It was a spectacular sight to see him walking along there with the sun rising and the mist, and really beautiful. And again, I would have followed him as well, but he did go into some really thick country, and I wanted to try and go around the other side and see if he came out there. So great to see two cats early, and then we came across Q male, which was a very, very special moment for me. And thank you to Brent and all the other guides that let us in, because they knew how important it was to us. And really great, and you were with us on that this morning. And then this afternoon, back out, Andrew and I had a fantastic time looking for Q. Went to the other side of the dam just to double check if we could, if he was there, and sure enough, Andrew, out of the corner of his eye, saw him lying in that little hollow there, and what a great spot that was. And then following Q right through that heavy bush, up onto that termite mound, looking out up the tree, all those tense moments of, was he hunting, what was he doing? Just fantastic stuff. And I have to say, folks, being there and having you with me today with Andrew and I has been a great privilege, and it's great to be back. I'm here until the 10th of next month. It's definitely not going to be my last time. I'm just here for a short stint, and we're going to do a couple of live crosses broadcast to National Geographic Channel, Nat Geo Wild USA. But we're online, webcasting every day, same old thing, fantastic, in the saddle every day, and you're going to be with me. It's been a brilliant journey today, folks, and thank you for all your support. Andrew, top job, buddy.
Thanks, Aidan.
Thanks, mate. I've really enjoyed it, big fella. I was a bit nervous this morning. I feel good. You know what, guys? You never know what's around the next corner. See you just now.